Alright guys, have to come to you again. So I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far with the Vegas Falcons finally getting their first win on the board against OpTic Texas the last weekend. Pred says that their scrims have been going very well and potentially they can really kick on from here. Scump as well reckons that, look, Falcons, they've got Pred on their team. They are not necessarily going to be poor, and Pred says their hardpoint in scrims has been going especially well. If they can keep that up, they play FaZe on the upcoming weekend. Maybe they can cause some serious damage in this league. Qualifying for champs, surely that's out of reach, but very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. Firstly, there was a bit of drama going down. Now, we do see this occasionally, and it's not just iLLeY, but there are other players that are culprits for this over time. Effectively, you'll play a chal, some sort of wager, even if it's 8 or whatever, and somebody wins, somebody loses. The guy that loses doesn't pay up, or takes a long time to pay up anyway. So it is a thing, unfortunately, and there are some players that are worse for it than others, let's just say. And well, there was a bit of drama yesterday because this guy iSpar, who's a Halo player, he basically played a chal against iLLeY for $2,000, and he apparently goes into his chat yesterday, iLLeY De1 is how he's going by now, to inquire about it, and he got banned from the chat. So that's always a good sign. He did also say in the replies that Bound owes him a rack as well. So yeah, but just not an ideal few weeks for iLLeY's reputation really, because there was a time where it looked like he was pretty close to getting back into the league. Then he's had a couple of difficult weeks in challenges, and I know that many fans out there, like when OpTic have been struggling lately, there's not many people saying, you know who they need, it's iLLeY, right, instead of Skyz. It's probably no one really is of that opinion anymore, but intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Some of the top players in the league, no OpTic players of course featuring here. Super though has had the top stage KD so far over the games that they've played, 1.25 KD for Super, which is pretty mega, right? I mean, it's insane to think about that this guy was just sitting there on the sidelines in the Spanish scene for years. They've finally brought him in and it seems like he's made an impact, but the entire team is real talented. Lucky was a decent player too, but I felt like Super would do a better job. They probably should have done it before now, let's be real, because over the last few years, I mean, they've messed around with Journey, Eric Boom, Lucky, Metals, all of these guys have come and gone. Vickle as well, another example, I guess, and maybe they've now finally settled on the team that has the most talent. I mean, Metals has always been an incredibly talented player. His consistency is, probably the worst in the entire league, to be honest, but when he's on, he's certainly on. And then Real, Rencor, and Super is like a seriously dangerous trio. So they're looking good so far. HyDra sitting at a 1.2, Cellium sitting at a 1.16. Then you've got Neptune and Abuzah are on here. Johnny's actually done a pretty good account of himself so far. Look, you could argue, is he playing for kills? And maybe on some level, sure. But I don't really think that it's that relevant. Like, I actually think that Johnny has just been playing some pretty good cards. The team around him is a shambles. And okay, on some level, he is meant to be in there as their kind of star player in a way who's going to put up the numbers, and it's not been converting into results yet, but at least he's putting himself in the ring, let's say, for getting a better potential spot next season. Geo's here despite a tricky series yesterday, and then Snoopy as well after a good start to the season for Boston. But you would be pretty surprised looking at this list really, given some of the players that are not here that you might think could be. Now, Pred is not here, but Falcons, they have turned it around. They finally got a win on the board, and of all teams, it was against OpTic Texas, right? You couldn't write the script. Pred joins the team. Clayster was talking loads of trash to a lot of the fans who are criticizing the team with Nasties and, of course, Priester on the roster as well. But it's nice to see it work out for both of those guys so far. Like, who knows what, time will tell on this one. I think the one thing I'm confident in is that I don't think Pred and Xnid are going anywhere, even for next season. I mean, okay, if they get Simp or HyDra and they just spend an obscene amount of money, maybe, sure. But what's more likely to me is that Pred and Xnid as a duo, especially because they seem to like each other and get along well, that probably is going to stay for next year no matter what. It is the ARs that are going to be under pressure regardless. But it's nice to see it working out for both of those guys so far. It's just if you're Falconsins, you can maybe go and get Sib, or maybe some other players might come to mind if you want to try and get better next year. But maybe this Falcons team can be good enough as it is, and they can keep making some progress. They seem to be getting along well. Okay, could it be a bit of a honeymoon period? Sure. Will they actually, is this team a full capable of winning an event? I mean, let's be real. they've just beaten OpTic and it wasn't the best OpTic team right now. So I think it's a bit of a stretch, but if they are capable of winning an event, they can still make it to the World Championship. It's actually not over yet. I mean, it would be an unimaginable storyline if they started the year 0-20, all of a sudden start turning up, because they were I mean, I don't even know what the word would be. The word now is undefeated. But it was impossible to lose to Falcons in Hardpoint for the first several months of the season. They've now won their last 3 or 4 in a row. So, yeah, Pred was obviously talking about it on stream the other day. Scump gave Falcons some gas and said, look, those guys aren't horrible for sure. But the clip that I wanted to share, if I can say that properly, is this one from Pred, because he was talking about their scrims. Now, look, it's practice, right? We're talking about practice. And here we go again. We've got a team frying in scrims. But it's interesting to hear, right? Because Falcons, this is, in my opinion, why Clay made the tweet that he did, where he was like, look, guys, you guys are talking trash on the roster now, but I've built great teams over years. You'll see, type thing. And against OpTic the other day, we started to see maybe what he was talking about. I don't think he would have tweeted that if he wasn't pretty confident in the way that their practice was trending. And that's how it seems to be. Pred says, yeah, we've had some days, we've played a set against a team, we've not lost a hardpoint the entire day.
If you were on this OpTic team, in place of, let's just say, Skyz, are you having a good time, or are you pulling your fucking hair out nonstop?
I mean, I'm gonna be in hell, bro. If I'm Skyz or if I'm Dashy,
you always say that.
Like, if you're Skyz, you're getting like swanton dove into the ground half the time anyway. So if I'm Skyz, I would be absolutely down horrific.
Holy fuck.
And then we get into the S&D. And,
Ben, that second AR Red Bull seat analogy is just like getting better and better every week. Really, it's so funny.
Like our hardpoints and modern challenge have been like really good, like really good. Like we've had some days where we literally like played a set and didn't lose a hardpoint. So we've been playing really good, like fundies, and just our game plan's been so good.
Not the same Falcons, though. See, that's the thing, dude. The Falcons, again, they're 4-1 in HP. They beat Miami, who just beat FaZe in both hardpoints. They're not horrible. They got fucking AG. They got AG, Alec, P-Dog was frying. Xnid's been their best player all year on that team. They're not horrible. Watch Falcons have a entertaining series against FaZe. I hope they do. Just so I can be like, I told you guys, these guys are not a bad team. Imagine they give FaZe a run for their money next weekend, and then we can kind of shift the gaze. Like, whoa, they gave FaZe a run. Makes it look better.
And the team seems to be bringing great energy. I think Xnid has a lot really to be given credit for this. But I think also Pred, it's a really cool duo dynamic because, I mean, Pred as a player, we saw it a bit at the major, and we see it every major. It's a reason why going to Dallas, I was a bit more confident in OpTic could do some sort of damage at the tournament because thought Pred would really bring the energy. And to be fair, it kind of did. I mean, they 3-0'd Rocker, whatever they did in the first round. They beat Rocker anyway in losers round 1, and Pred was standing up and screaming and shouting and everything. And look, as much as Pred gets criticism for his play style, even though it looked so much better. I mean, he was actually moving and having impact on the map the other day on Falcons, and it does raise questions on like what the hell was going on with OpTic, because, clearly Pred is not an incapable player. This guy is an unbelievable talent and has been in the league and is on the Supermax right now for a very good reason, but he simply wasn't playing in the required way on OpTic. I know that there's questions about the coaching stuff and stuff now that Clay has maybe got a version of Pred out again. It's only a couple of series that we've seen, but it looks like a better version of Pred anyway to what we have seen before in terms of his impact. But we know that Pred brings the energy, certainly to LAN, and Xnid seems to be like the best hype guy ever. I mean, this Pred Shotzzy duo dynamic last year on OpTic was super impactful, certainly on LAN, because they would have a level of energy that no other team could seem to be able to match. The Falcons are the team that can match that energy right now, right? I mean, seeing Xnid and how excited he was with the team and him and Pred, that's what I say. I don't think this duo is necessarily going to be going away. I don't think Falcons want that to happen either. And when you get a team like this that's this enthused about winning and playing well, it gives you another 20% in your performance as far as I'm concerned, especially compared to teams that are not in that position. But Falcons in the championship, are they just going to end up playing spoiler, right? I think that might be where it ends up for Falcons, is that maybe, look, they're not going to make champs. Let's be realistic about it for a second. But they could cause some upsets. that actually change the fabric of the championship in some way. They're obviously going to be at both of the majors. If they could knock out, I mean, imagine they knocked out OpTic from a major, or they knocked out Rocker from a major, or they knocked out any of the teams in contention to make champs. That would be a big story. Now, it's not over for the Falcons. Maybe it won't be over until Major 4, because they get 100 points for an event win. So if Falcons win out, if they win their final, I think they play 2 games next weekend. So if they win against FaZe, Boston, Cloud9, Rocker, Heretics, Thieves, and I mean, good luck with that, by the way. You play Heretics, Thieves, FaZe, your final 3 games. Not easy as it stands. But let's say Falcons win all of those. They get 70 points on the board. That puts them at 80. They then win both majors. That puts them at 280. So technically, Falcons could still get the 3rd seed. I think is still possible. But I mean, obviously, yeah, that's a bit ambitious. But if they were to win, if they were to win one of the majors, like, I don't, it's not gonna happen. But like, if they could come maybe a couple of seconds at majors, they made some crazy run, they win a few online. It's not impossible. But yeah, it's not going to be happening. I think what they will be doing though is playing some spoiler, because as I say, we've got some big series here. I mean, these ones, especially Rocker and Heretics, those could be real important spoiler series, and however they go at the major, that's going to be influential as well. So how good can Falcons be, and where do they go from here, I guess is the question, because look, it's only one series and it is against OpTic, but also they played Heretics and they lost in 5, and they won both hardpoints in that series against Heretics, and they could have probably won, maybe should have won, the dealership search and destroy as well. And it turns out Heretics are actually pretty damn good. So you look at this series in hindsight, and yeah, okay, their first game they played Surge and they got smashed. It wasn't close. But look, it was their first game. There was loads of criticism the way of Falcons after this first series, and to be fair, for good reason. I mean, like, both Nastie and Priester had a horrific series, but it was my opinion, it was the opinion of many others. Like, at least give it some time, give them a few weeks to figure things out, because they've literally just formed as a team. And then here we are a few days later, Nastie and Priester go from having a 0.6 combined against, the boys of Surge, to having a 1.2 combined against OpTic. So yeah, such a confusing time for OpTic. Obviously, we talked about that earlier on today as well. But if you are Falcons management, it's obviously difficult to say immediately, but what would your plan be for, let's say, the next 6 months? You've got 4 events coming up. One of them you probably won't be at, of course, the World Championship, but they will be at the Esports World Cup. It was kind of my opinion all along that Falcons were probably going to give it a couple of stages, and if it wasn't working out with the full Saudi team, they were probably going to do what they eventually did. And they've now done it. They want to be competitive at the World Cup, of course, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And they'll want to, put some serious points on the board towards the club championship that happens there that Falcons won last year. And let's be real, they're going to win again this year too. But they want to turn up there and play well. So they've got probably 3 events remaining in the season. After those 3 events, what do you do? Because I think they want to keep the Saudi representation, especially a player like Exnid. If Kix is available to come back, do you say you bring him back instead of one of the others? Is he going to be better than Priester? I mean, maybe, but also, I don't know if it's too much of a risk, really, to do so, especially when Falcons might consider that maybe they can go out there and they can get someone and they can try and upgrade. And also, I guess the question is, who has the keys to the team? Because while Pred is certainly now the face of the franchise, certainly in the league, for the Saudi fans, who they're certainly very interested in appealing to, because they did that whole statement when they got rid of the Saudi team, Exnid is the face of the team for that angle, and therefore maybe it's going to be those 2 down the line who make the decisions along with Clay. But obviously Clay's perspective is also going to be valuable too. So look, the rest of the season will determine what they do with their roster, but very much interested to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.